You are a strong-minded, natural hair black woman in the corporate world, all right? So tell us a little bit about how it feels to be a rarity and being like this, being in this case where you're literally breaking the mold everywhere you go.
Yeah, it's crazy. My coworkers talk about all the time, like, you're into music, but you do it, you know. You're an auditor, and then like you're working in a place where there's not a lot of black people, and then you are that one black person that has dreads. It's just like, I do what I want, pretty much. You know, I am a very strong-minded woman. But I'm very open-minded as well. You know, I feel like not one thing has to be a certain way, and I think I'm very empathetic, you know, to other people, and I understand people, and I'm just like a no judgment-free zone at all. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, breaking the mold, but I am pretty different. You know, there's not too many people out there like me, and you know, I don't try to be like that. It's just who I am. I live free. Yeah, so. We recorded 2-3 years ago. We had it on our website, and we just decided to put it on the platforms because, you know, that's where people are, you know, that's what they have, Spotify, iTunes and stuff. But future projects, Cam has one dropping called Vibes with a $sign at the end. I have yet to ask him why he has a $sign at the end of that. But yeah, it's a 7-8 track album, EP. I don't know what he's decided to call it, but it's definitely a vibe for sure. I think every song on the vibe tape is different. There's not one song that sounds alike. This is not, you know, I love me some Migos, don't get me wrong. I F with some Migos, but it's not a Migos. It's not a Migos album, like, where everything sounds the same. But luckily for Migos, everything does sound the same, but it's the dope sound, kind of like, it's the dope, like, song. Like, that's what I like about that. But anyway, about our project, it's different. You can definitely vibe to every song. It puts you into a mood for sure. I would. I've been thinking about how I'm going to start selling my beats and just see the type of the way I want to sell them. Obviously, you know, if I do want to do like on an external website, or do I just want to sell them on our website? So I've been trying to think about, you know, the different ways I can sell it. But I am going to push forward of selling my beats. As far as dropping a tape, I will. I'm not too sure if I want to do like a J Dilla instrumental tape, or if I want to do what, you know, like a Timbaland does. I mean, now these DJs do it, but like a Timbaland's all his shock value tapes where he makes the beats and he put other artists are on those songs. So I definitely would want to do something like that. So I mean, you may get both. But yeah, I will do it. It's definitely in the cards for sure. I taught myself. I didn't. Nobody taught. I mean, I was in the band, so I know like scales and things like that. I was in percussion, so I know, you know, what basic music theory. I know that, but as far as my process, you know, I always say that I'm a melody whore. I love melodies more than anything, and I think that's where the emotion is in every single song. And then I just throw on drums. I just throw in the kick, the snare, and, you know, the hi-hat, just because it's like needed, like in music, pretty much, especially in hip hop, like you need those things. I think that the way that I produce, I usually don't go with the norm. I think, you know, not getting too technical, but, you know,
get technical, please. Please get technical.
I mean, like, you usually don't hear melodies being upfront. right? And so you usually hear that the hitting, kick or the hitting snare, and that drives the beat. But I like my music to, I want you to hear my melodies, because I think that's where the emotion is. I've aspired to create our own lane. I don't know what you would call it just yet. If you ask Cam that, he can tell you the answer to what he likes to call it. But I think if you want to shove it into a category, obviously it's hip hop. But it's very hard to say, and it's not. And I'm not saying it to boast or my ego is showing. But we create great music, and it's great enough to where you can't really fit it into a genre that's already known, and that's what I like about it, and that's the beauty of it all. You stand out from the typical crowd. So. I understand why people sample, because it gets those creative juices flowing, and it's a nostalgic feel, right? Like people mostly sample songs that they've heard of before, and it's just like a way of showing that you're creative by twisting up something or chopping up something that people know of. But you're like, hey, I'm creative too. I can take this and make this, and that does show creativity. As far as it being authentic, the reason why I don't sample much is just because I like to challenge myself and I like to push myself. I like to, take my music and hold it up against a sampled song, like a sample music of like another producer made, and if they both sound like amazing, then I win, because it's authentic. And I don't have anything against sampling. I don't, maybe I dabble in it from time to time, but usually just for my own personal use. Sometimes when I do sample, I just use it for just so I can be inspired. So I sample it and I add instruments and just build around it, and then I just take the sample out, and the only thing that's left is what I've created. So that's usually what I do when it comes to sampling. But all the samples out there, go for it. I love listening to sample songs and see what people do with it, for sure.
So we're gonna dive a little deeper now. We'll dive a little deeper. Right. So we all have our top 5, top 10 rappers and whatnot.
Woo!
I want to play that game with you.
Okay, great.
All right.
I cannot do it. I
want to play that game. Give me, not necessarily people that inspires your sound or your influences, but just give me some producers that you really like and you appreciate, that you feel like you're crushing right now, basically.
Obviously Kanye. And it's weird that Kanye is my #1 producer that inspired me, because he samples a lot and I don't really sample. But I think that I take the emotion that he puts into his songs, and I try to do that in a way where I don't need to use a sample. I can try to find other instruments in order to achieve that goal. I love me some Swiss beats. I love me Timbaland. Timbaland is where I want to be, as far as having a distinct sound, but not really. I don't know how to put it. Like, when a Timbo beat is playing. I want to be that way too, but not so obvious. I don't know what it is yet. I don't know how I will create that, but I do want to get at the point to where people know that it's my beat, but they know it in it's certain things that I do in my music that they will hear. And like Timbaland is like usually his percussion, right? So like he has all of these different sounds everywhere in his music, and it's a Timbaland beat. Or DJ Mustard has a similar thing where he has that bass line. Like as DJ Mustard, like they have the same sound that knows it's them. But I don't want the same sound. I don't know yet. I don't know if it all makes sense. In my head it makes sense, but I do want to be to that point. for real, it's great because his music is minimal. Like he will throw three sounds on a track, and he makes it like it's a fucking orchestra. Like it's incredible. Like he knows how to use rhythms like that. So for real, is a big inspiration as well. If you want to slow it down, you know, and be nostalgic, Jay Dilla, of course, you know, like he had his way with those beats, and yeah. So I think those are my inspiration for sure. I think that it's Kanye. I think that, you know, obviously he was away in Wyoming doing music, and obviously you have to kind of, you know, promote your album in a way, but Kanye's never been a huge promoter. The way that he does it, he just comes out the hole and starts tweeting or starts, you know, I don't know, just going places and being seen. He doesn't really go to, you know, radio station to radio station. That's not the way he does it. And so I think this year he did the same things, but he had other topics, other, you know, controversial topics that he had to say. And I think, you know, I personally don't agree with him on certain things that he said, but, you know, that's his opinion. You know, I'm not going to... I think he means so much to me musically. It's just like I cannot separate. I can't just like cancel him, as people are saying, all of a sudden, because it's Kanye, and I get him, but I don't think it's you know, he did it to sell his album. I mean, I think it helped. Well, I think it helped because his name is in the conversation, but I do think it hurt him as far as sales. So my thing is, when you're like in a studio or something and you have, you know, your people that you create with in the studio, and if you're writing and then somebody's like, oh no, it would sound like, or flip the two lines, you know, that I don't think that's as help, you know what I'm saying? Or somebody's like, oh, don't rhyme this word with this, maybe do it that. Like, I don't think that's that big of a deal, but I think the problem comes into if you boast on your songs, or if you portray as, oh, this is all me, like I'm the best lyricist out here, then you need to back that up, you know. And I think you can't have somebody write half of your verses, you know. You can't, you know, take your verse from like a reference track or something like that. Like, I think that's where my problem comes into. And then obviously, you know, this whole Drake thing. I mean, I think it was such a big deal because everybody thought that this was 100% Drake. And I don't know of a time where Drake just like explicitly said, oh, I write all my bars, but he did come off like he did. And so as far as the whole Quinn situation, I feel like I don't know how much he used. I know there's videos and stuff out there that kind of like show, you know, what had Quinn referenced and what Drake used. But I think to me, I think that's a little bit of an issue. Like, it wasn't like a bar or two or a word. It was like, some of them was like half a song or even half a verse or even a full verse. And so I think if you're gonna say that you write every like bar of your verses, then I don't think you need help, right? And I think you need to back that up. And so, you know, obviously, you know, Kanye doesn't really write all his songs. And, you know, to this day, the album he just dropped, you know, he even had Nicki on the end of the song, you know, of a voice memo on her phone if she was rapping a line or what he said. Like, he even showed, like, he's showing you, like, yeah, I mean, I take a bar or two as inspiration. And I don't think that's an issue because he's out and about and saying that, you know, like, yeah, I got inspiration from Nicki Minaj, you know, on a hard bar. Like, that bar is hard. And so, yeah, I think it just depends. It really does depend. I'm open to collaborate with anybody. You know, we just gotta have that vibe. You know, I've always producer. Well, starting off, I was the producer that was like, I wouldn't give my beats to anybody because they may come back and it's just trash it. Because I really value my beats, and I'm an artist and I'm sensitive about my shit. And so if you give me my music that I love, that I created, that I put, made the time to create, and it comes back with it just being trash. In my eyes, per the artist, it could have been the best that he or she could have done, but I think I need to start getting out of that and just start, collaborating and just see what happens. But yeah, if somebody hits me up and wants to collab, then I'll definitely do that. I think one thing about me is though, I don't really work well, and I don't want to work in a way that they come to me. It's like I want something that sounds like this, like a certain thing that's already out, because I don't feel like I work like that. I need it to come natural, and so I will. They can definitely go through my catalog and pick something out. But as far as creating something for somebody, I just don't like how that feels, because like I said, I create on emotion, on the feeling, and it's just when something is forced, when you're going towards a certain particular goal, I feel like it doesn't come out as natural. But yeah, that's just. Yeah, so yes to your question. I think it's really important because it's authentic. The art is still there. I think when you get, and it's nothing wrong being signed to a major label, but I think that. Being signed to a major label gets you that money, right? So if you be independent, yeah, you're struggling with money, but it's the art that's still there. And if you sign to a label, obviously you have people in higher power that want your sound to your music to sound a certain way, and I feel like I wouldn't want to have to compromise things for my art. And so there are some labels out there that are great with it. Like, don't get me wrong, but I think Chance the Rapper does a very, I think he's a prime example of being independent. He does a very good job at it. You can tell that he does what he wants to do regardless of what anybody else says. So yeah, I think it's important. I think it's important to keep the art authentic for sure. I think at this point, me and Cam, we've been going at this for a long time, a very long time, and I think I personally am at a point where I feel like the world can hear what we've been creating. I put in the work to be like, okay, like this is at a spot where people can hear it, and I know that I can progress from here. But I think we could be helped. I guess just more people listening to our stuff, pretty much. I don't want to get too technical, but like I'm a producer, and so just having collabing with engineers who likes to mix and master, and it can get down with our sound and know that what we're trying to go for. That will help as well, because I really love producing, and I don't want to just I'm not gonna say waste my time, but I don't want to use my time on on the engineering side. But I think the main thing is just kind of sharing the wealth and sharing to the world what we're about. I think we're at that point. That's pretty much all we need. And now in this day and age, it's social media. So I'm not a huge fan of social media, but I know it's needed.